Perfect. delusional? Or am I crazy right? I'm crazy correct. How is this rage bait? I don't understand. Everyone keeps saying it's rage bait. How the hell is it rage bait? How the hell is it rage bait? How the hell is it rage bait? Yeah, why don't you're welcome to come up and find how rage bait this is. No one comes up to debate me, you know why? Because they get destroyed. You want some more rage bait? How about this one? Oh. Oh. Is that good? Did you know? I'm doing research. About like what the Bible says about women, because I think there's this like idea that the Bible is misogynist, and that's just not true. Like atheism. And so I'm having the AI help me. I'm inputting the facts, and I'm having the AI go over the facts. And the AI is gonna organize all the facts, and we're gonna see what's up. Yeah, he's not misogynistic. That's nuts. Jesus wasn't a misogynist. Deborah was a prophetess, a judge, and a military leader in Israel. Her leadership is celebrated without qualification, and she is depicted as a decisive figure whom even male leaders like Barak defer to. Esther was a queen who saved her people through political courage and wisdom. Her story emphasizes divine providence working through women's agency. Mary Magdalene in the Gospels, she is the first to witness to the resurrection, a role of immense theological significance in Christianity. So it was women who taught the resurrection to the disciples. Jesus subverted patriarchal norms of his time, where he engaged in theological dialogue with women. For example, the Samaritan woman in John 4. He treated women as intellectual equals, and he defended women's dignity, as in the example of the adulterous woman, and he rejected legalistic misogyny. Women financially supported Jesus' ministry in Luke 8, 1-3, indicating their visibility and autonomy. Jesus' ministry models a vision of equality that challenges hierarchical social structures, aligning with the text claims that the biblical teachings are favorable to women. Did you guys know that? Isn't that amazing? In the ancient world, we have this text which treats women as equals. While Christian societies often weaponize Paul's letters like 1 Timothy 2:12 to restrict women, Paul's theology also contains radical egalitarian statements like in Galatians 3:28 when he says there's no male or female, we're all one in Christ. this would dismantle social hierarchy, including a gender hierarchy. In Romans 16, Paul praises female leaders like Phoebe, a deacon, Junia, an apostle, and Priscilla, a teacher. These women had authority in the early church. Isn't that awesome? So, yeah, I want to argue people because, like, I personally love women. Like, I think women are superior to men. But, like, I think it's BS. The way men treat women is really BS. Men have this, like, ideal of, like, the Virgin Mary, and then if women don't meet this ideal, which is like it's like trying to be like Christ or something. It's like an impossible ideal. Like no one's gonna ever be as good as Christ. So you try to be like Christ, but you never expect someone to be like Christ, like literally, univocally, I should say. So it's like similar situation. We create this like ideal for women, and then when they don't live up to this ideal, unrealistic, then we like tear them down. And this is where you get like the incel crap, which is like so pathetic that men do that. Even if like, let's say everything bad people say about women, even if it's true, like a real man is not gonna like bitch and moan. A real man is gonna go out and accomplish what he wants, regardless of like what anyone else says or any like problems. They overcome adversity and they achieve. That's how you win, right? You guys know how to win? Rocky will teach you guys how to win.
It seems like we have a lot of projects, but we don't spread ourselves thin.
Cursing is a sin? Well, I think cursing someone to hell is a sin, but I don't think using a swear word is a sin. It could be a sin, but not necessary.
You know, living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is going to be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it does.
Why? You got a lot going on, kid.
What, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself. And this happens. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only going to end up bad for you, and it's going to end up bad for me.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
It's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm going to be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this, but you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
That makes me cry every time I hear that. Don't forget to visit your mother. He's talking about going to his mom's grave. God, this server's always busy. Freaking Chinese server. That's how you freaking win. Life hits you and knocks you down, and then you get back up. You don't blame other people. That's what cowards do. That's what atheists do. They blame other people. As a Christian, because we've been granted freedom from Christ, we take responsibility. We don't blame other people. That's pathetic. Pathetic. One proven part of Christianity, what do you mean the whole worldview is proven. Christianity is the necessary precondition for intelligibility, reason, logic, science, truth. To deny Christianity is like to deny truth. Hell is not real. Another degenerate. Okay. That did not prove anything? Yeah, the proof for God is that God is necessary for proof. So all proof would indirectly prove God. Because, like, what would be your standard of truth if it's not God? 4 is not... What do you mean 4 is unsupported? Because I have arguments. It's not unsupported. They're not... none of those are unsupported claims, dude. I have arguments. Claims aren't proof. Well, claims... Any proof will have a claim. You can't prove something without a claim. Presuppositional apologetics is goated. You're just claiming. Yeah, well, you're predicating. How do you predicate without my claim? When you say I'm making a claim, you're making a predication. But how do you predicate without the claim that you're talking about? How do you predicate without the claim in question? Yeah, but Star, you are making acts of predication that require my claim. So you're borrowing capital from my position to say that I'm making a claim. The support for God is that God revealed himself in creation and human history. That's the support. So the evidence is in like Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and also the evidence is in metaphysical realities. Like for you to type in my chat, there has to be uniformity of nature. And you can't explain that apart from the Christian worldview. So whether you admit it or not, you act like you're living in the Christian world, basically. And it's impossible to deny it. You can't live your life like atheism is true. It's impossible. Welcome, Star.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
All right, I want to go straight to the fourth point for abortion is child's sacrifice.
you. Yeah,
No, it's not.
of course
Can
it
you prove
is.
to me how is it such child sacrifice?
Because you're unaliving and
You're unaliving a child. Thank you. I thought you were going to say that, but no, it's not. It's not just unaliving a child. It's not even a child. It's not fully developed. It's a fetus. For my point, is not unaliving. It's you can have abortion if it's medically needed, as in your body cannot carry the child, the fetus actually. Um, you can also abort if you're not ready as a mother and you have been uh, sexually SA'd or whatever you want to call it these days. You can also have an abortion.
what are you
You
talking
don't want to. I'm talking about the points why you abortion should be right because it is a health care. It's not
but
child sacrifice
it's
because
not
the
right.
fetus is not child. It's not a child.
It's
Sorry,
wrong
but it's not.
it's wrong to murder another human being, so then abortion's
Can you
wrong.
define a child for me? Define a child.
A child, a young human organism.
A young human, but a fetus is not a human though. Is it?
Let's say it's an unborn child.
But a fetus is not a human.
It's not a human.
It's
How
not a
about
human.
well, that's what people used to say about black people.
Whoa, whoa, you what? Oh, so you want to compare a fetus and racism?
I'm just saying you're making the
No,
same.
you're comparing racism with fetus? A
You are
fetus is
making
not even a child?
you're making this. You're using the same logic they used to
No, I'm
support
not.
slavery.
No,
Let
no, I'm not
me
using.
talk.
I'm not using race
Let me
as a
talk. It's
fetus.
my live. You're using the same logic to support abortion that was used to support slavery. And I think slavery is wrong, and I think abortion is wrong, and I think your logic is evil.
Okay, so if let's say if you had a daughter or whatever you want to have these days, and she got brutally raped, would you want her to carry that child?
Yeah, I would want the graperist to be punished, not the innocent unborn
But
child.
would you want her to carry that child?
Yeah.
That's child on child. You know that, right? She's a child, and you want her to carry another child while being a child herself. You want your child to be a mother, as in a 10-year-old little girl carrying a child.
I don't see like why
You
what
want your child to suffer?
this is like saying like two wrongs make a right. Well, like everyone's gonna suffer. That's just a part of life. You can't avoid suffering.
No, that's not the part of life. You want your child to suffer
It's not that I
because
want.
another man's fault?
It's not that
You
I
don't want to help her with it?
help her with it. I don't want to. I don't
Help
want
her
to.
as in
I
have.
don't. I don't want to murder another human being because it's like convenient for me.
But she could die from it. I mean, she could murder from it. She could basically, basically, what I'm trying to tell you is
You
the
could get in a
child
car
in
accident.
her, the
So
child in her, the child in her is can the body can say that it doesn't want to carry the child and it wants it to get out. that means he needs medical help. The child, the fetus, which is not even a child, needs to go. So you're telling me you want your child to go through all that pain, she's 10, you want her to go all through all that pain, knowing that you forced her to go all that pain. Would you ever want her to do that? Because this is what's wrong with you men. You guys do not understand our pain, what we have been through. You're gonna be like, you know what? Like, yeah, let's take the right. Let's take the right. No abortion, no abortion at all. But if you guys really went through what we went through, you wouldn't say that shit. But the world is evil. To be honest, the world is so evil, bro.
Yep.
It is a freaking fetus. It's not a child. It's a fetus. Like, bro, you guys need to fucking get out of my life.
Well, what if someone just decided that you weren't a human being? How would you feel about that? Exactly.
I guess before sometime this afternoon. I'm not picking up Dalton until tomorrow. Hey, let's see.
You're talking.
What is it with your kids, man?
Talking. You're on live.
School.
Pass it around.
Autumn, get the hell out of my live. So Autumn is not an ally to women because Autumn lies about like Autumn like is going around spreading lies about men, and that's like really bad because some people, like when women make claims like they got raped, sometimes people don't believe them because if there's women like Autumn that go around like spreading lies about other men, then it's like they'll go, "Oh, you're just saying that because like that's what women do. They just go around and lie about men, raping them." But I tried talking to you. I added you talking, but then I tried to, but you weren't. You were like talking to someone in the background, so I kicked you because I didn't want you to like dox yourself or something. Now I don't know how to add you. You have to request back. You have to request talking. You have to hit the guest. I can't add you. For some reason, there's no like thing on your account to add you, which is weird. How am I pro grapist?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That would you like to say?
Atheism is irrational. What is atheism?
That's a good question. It's hard to say because they instead of like defending atheism, they want to play definition games. Because I think the truth is it's unattainable.
Well, no, you can't say it's irrational if you don't know what it is, right? And if you're in a straw man position, it's
Right, and if I can't understand your argument, then well, I'm not convinced.
cool.
I'm just too dumb to understand your argument. Guess I'll have to be an atheist.
Well, you're making an argument with that's irrational to begin with.
Who? What?
So atheism is the lack of belief in any god or gods.
Okay. It's also the lack of rationality.
Where do you find that at? Where's that in the definition?
This is gonna follow if atheism is a lack of belief, then it's also gonna be a lack of rationality.
How do you figure that?
Well, what's the rationality?
What do you mean? What's the rationality? I asked you a question. You asked me a question in response.
Okay. I'm claiming it lacks rationality. If you disagree, then what is the fucking rationality?
Prove that it lacks rationality.
Okay. I'm gonna fucking kick you, you dumbass.
Well, you're a fucking dumbass. You make all these points, and they're unsubstantiated. All right, Christianity is objectively proven. It's not. All right. Oh, therapy time. Yeah, let's go to therapy time.
What's your relationship like with your father?
We're great.
Really?
Yeah, and as far as presuppositional apologetics goes, you should look up Matt Dillahunty and Sison Bruggencate,
Yeah.
because Matt
How about
destroyed Cy in every debate they ever had.
How about Matt Dillahunty versus Jay Dyer? How about that one?
Again, Matt cream dude. So
You destroyed Jay
there's
Dyer.
that. Huh?
You destroyed Jay Dyer.
Yeah,
Really?
you should look it up.
How did Monkey Boy? How did Monkey Boy cook Saitan? Monkey Boy is like, what did he do?
Saitan has no argument. All right, presup is just skipping the part where you actually support your own claim.
Well, God would be like a standard for truth, right? So if God isn't the standard of truth, then what is the standard of truth?
Is it? Can God lie?
No,
God can't lie.
God can't lie.
Well, God lies in Genesis 1, so I don't know what you're talking about.
According to you, but do you have a standard of truth?
Yes, I do.
What's your standard? Of
So
truth?
when God said that Adam and Eve would not die, that Adam and Eve would die when they ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil,
They
that
died.
they would die that day, they did not.
They died. So
They did not.
They died.
They did not. How did they go on to have kids then?
Where's
They
Adam
died.
and Eve? Can we go talk to them, or are they dead?
He said they would die that day.
So what's your standard of truth? If it's not God, what's your standard of truth?
So you're just going to skip my point? Did God say they were going to die that day?
Okay. Wow.
That's in the Bible. I mean, if you want to deny the Bible, that's fine.
Welcome.
Yo,
Yo.
what is up?
What up, dog?
I thought it was therapy time. What's going on?
No. Well, it's supposed to be. We do debates, and then when they don't want to debate, then we do therapy and figure out why don't they want to debate.
Why don't they want to be what?
Well, I try to debate atheists because they say they're all like rational and intellectual, which I don't buy that crap. So then, after they miserably fail, then we go to the therapy time because we have to be like, well, what's wrong with you? Like, why don't you debate like a mature adult? Like, were you raised by wolves?
Oh,
Mommy didn't give you enough hugs. Like, what's going on here?
okay. I'm not atheist. I'm Catholic.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you just came to therapy?
Yeah, when I came up, it just said therapy time. I didn't know what's going on.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Is anybody else requesting?
No one wants to debate me because my arguments are too
shit. Too strong.
Yeah. All right, Mal, thanks.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of science is just theories, right? Like the Big Bang and all that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put it that way. Because they're called like scientific facts. So people might be biased with the theory.
Well, it's been fun, man. I gotta go. I gotta get ready for work.
All right, man. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Oh, da, 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 da. Okay, it's cuddling me. I'm trying to use this like DeepSeek AI. It's like keep crashing on me though. That was the first video game I ever really played. Super Mario. It was like the best-selling game until I think Minecraft, maybe something like that. Yeah, Super Mario 3 is good. I think I beat it one time, or maybe I still haven't beat Super Mario 3. It's pretty hard. I think I've tried to beat it a couple times and I always like quit halfway through. Okay, so there's tension between the Bible's inherent messages about women and the patriarchal interpretations later imposed on those texts by religious traditions. The elevation of women in the Hebrew Bible. So the author emphasizes that women in the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, hold central authoritative roles that contradict later misogynistic interpretations. Political leadership. So Esther saves her people from G-side. Judith beheads Holofernes to liberate Israel. Rahab aids Israel's conquest of Jericho. Prophetic authority. Miriam in Exodus 15:20. Deborah Judges 4:4. And Huldah, 2 Kings 22:14, are recognized as prophetesses who guide Israel. Wisdom and virtue. So Proverbs 31 celebrates a woman's strength, entrepreneurship, and moral leadership. I want to make like a cheat sheet. All this stuff. Like a baby. Oh my gosh, my cat's attacking now. Babe. What are you doing? What are you doing? I should like write. I gotta write down all this stuff. These examples dismantle the claim that the Bible inherently subordinates women. Instead, they highlight women as co-creators of salvation history. The theological reclamation of Eve. The author dismantles traditional readings of Genesis that portray Eve as inferior. The order of creation. Eve is created last, not as an afterthought, but as the climax of creation. In Genesis 2:22. Just as Adam is not inferior to the animals created before him, Eve's later creation signals her role as the culmination of God's creative work. So some people argue that Adam is superior because he's created before Eve, but the animals were created before Adam, and the animals are not superior to Adam. So that creation is about building up to like better and better things, and Eve is the last thing. Welcome.
Yeah, that's just totally biologically inaccurate. There's no way that males came before females. That's just not genetically or scientifically possible.
Okay, but I'm not talking about science. I'm talking about reality.
Make believe?
No,
Mythology?
No, reality. Science doesn't make claims about reality. Did you know that? Does that shock you? Science can only talk about like our perceptions of phenomena. It can't like
Right. Observed reality. Got it.
That's not reality. Observations aren't reality.
They're observations of reality.
We don't have access to reality because we're humans.
Wow, that is some solipsism nonsense.
It's just
You are created by the material conditions and reality. You are a product of your environment.
You think it's nonsense to be logical?
You're not. Nothing in your debate is logical.
Sure. It doesn't logically follow that because you observe something that it exists in reality. That doesn't follow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's just silly, man. You just deny all knowledge and rely on solipsism to uphold your faith in the face of evidence of the reality that we share.
Okay, but that's the thing is I'm a realist. I'm a Christian. So if you deny
those things are not compatible.
There, how do you get to reality without God revealing knowledge to you? You don't have access to reality. So how can you be a realist?
Christianity is irrational entirely. What are you talking about?
Well, what would
There's
it?
all that magic. Do you think your refrigerator is run by magic?
Yeah, but when you talk about like reason, you don't have an objective standard for what like good reason is. Like, what does that even mean?
We have many thousands of years of development. What are you talking about?
Development. I'm talking about like as a Christian, when I say something's like reasonable, I have an objective standard as to what's reasonable.
You
It's
do not. Like you think you
true.
do. What objective standard?
The mind of God. So
That's
what?
not objective.
Of course, it's
That's
objective.
totally subjective because it's in a mind by definition.
No, God
If it's
is.
God's mind, it is subjective.
That's incorrect. So God has direct access to knowledge and reality. He
Based on what evidence you have for that?
based on the fact that he created the universe and he
That is
created.
not a fact.
Sure, it is.
Oh, you don't. Okay,
Okay,
this is
so
the problem: is you don't understand the difference between your personal opinion and a fact.
let me ask you this: what would make a fact true if it's not God that makes the fact true?
It's consistency, it's reliability, it's repeatableness.
That's not
Like
an answer to the question.
it is an answer to the question. What are you
It's not.
talking about?
I'm talking about like a fact is a state of affairs that would like make a proposition true. That's what a fact is. So what would like dictate the state of affairs to determine what is, what can, what cannot be? That's not God.
The material world that we are in.
Exactly. So because you have no answer to this question, right? When you
I
talk,
just told you an answer. The
that wasn't.
material world that we're in.
I thought that was a joke. Okay, so that's not an answer. That's a joke. So because you have no answer to this question,
It's
um,
definitely an answer
excuse me?
because you and your imaginary friend don't have any impact on actual reality.
A response is not an answer. Okay, you gave a response, but not an answer. And since you can't answer as to what makes a fact true, then you can't speak
I
about
said that it
facts.
is reliable, consistent, and
That's not an answer
repeatable.
to the
That's what I
question.
said.
But that's not an answer to the question.
It definitely is an answer to the question. This is the thing is that like the comprehension with Christians is so low. You have your imaginary magical friends and then you blame everyone else for your misunderstanding of reality. It's
So
just weird.
what was your relationship like with your father?
Great.
Really? You don't feel like maybe he spent too much time at work when you were growing up and you didn't get enough attention from him?
No.
Really? Because like I'm trying to figure out like why you're coming on my live saying this ridiculous crap. Like you,
Oh, because your Christianity hurts the world. It's the danger to humanity.
so you come on my live and lie. What's with this attention-seeking behavior?
Oh, honey, my attention behavior.
Yeah, you come up on my live and you say a bunch of stupid shit like a flat earther trying to get
I said a bunch of accurate shit about the reality that we share, and you were
Yeah.
like, "Those aren't answers."
Yeah, I was trying to debate you and you're acting like a child. So I'm just wondering like okay, was it the mom? Like were you raised by like a nanny and your mom didn't hug you?
No,
No. So you have good relationship with both your parents.
indeed.
Why are you acting like a child?
How am I acting like a child? You are the one using fairy tales to back your reality.
But yeah, again, you keep talking about reality, but you don't have access to reality. So how can you
You
talk about
certainly do.
how?
Through the physical body that I have, through the environment that I'm in.
But that's a fallacy, right? Remember?
It is not.
Science doesn't make claims about reality. You know something science doesn't know?
Oh my gosh.
What do you mean, oh my
We
god?
live in an environment, right? We are created by an environment. We know that, right? What created you was your parents.
What does this have to do with anything?
Oh,
Oh,
I get it. Your
oh,
silliness. It's fine. I
oh,
just want you to know that your religion is
oh,
bad for human beings.
oh,
And it's
okay.
dangerous
And
to
and
women and children.
and you have no standard for what would it even mean to be bad? It's just like your opinion, right?
No, it's not. It's that your religion causes damage.
Cool opinion.
It's not an opinion. It's backed by facts.
What's
Colonialism,
the
the
objective standard?
Crusades, the Inquisition, the treatment of the LGBTQIA right now.
What's your objective standard for what's good and bad?
Well, we have social dynamics and we have created morality and laws. To connect objectivity and morals is a fallacious and misunderstanding of both things.
So why should I care about your opinion?
Well, you don't have to.
Oh, okay, well, in my opinion, Christianity is true.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it's also really bad for human beings.
How do we know whose opinion is right? It's almost like we need a God.
Well, so atheism and science are backed by evidence. They're backed by repeatable experiments. They're backed by things that where like we can experience the same thing, regardless of what we know.
How do we know?
Right? You can't Wile E. Coyote your way through existence. Like gravity has impact.
How do we know whose opinion is correct when we disagree in your model? How do we know who's right?
By examining more evidence and doing experiments.
Yeah, but right and wrong is just an opinion. So like if I don't see if you have an opinion and I have an opinion.
Morality is just an opinion.
How do we tell?
But the material reality we share is not an opinion. It's not an opinion that water is oxygen and hydrogen.
How do we tell who's right when we disagree on our opinions? How do we tell who's right?
Okay. Chemistry is not an opinion, right? Okay. Physics is not an opinion.
Well, I opinion you too. Or I chemical you too. Are these a bunch of people asking to come out? I've talked to this girl a long time ago.
What's up, Presup?
What's up, boy?
How's it going?
Going well.
Good, good.
What do you like to say?
When you're doing your typical crybaby stuff, yeah.
How am I a crybaby?
You just kicked that guy for no reason.
He was babbling for going on and saying and all he had was in my opinion this, in my opinion that. He never made an argument. What am I just gonna sit here and listen to someone's opinion all day? I'm not a fucking atheist.
I mean, why not? That's what we do, listening to you.
No, I make arguments, son.
All right, well, you want to get into it then?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Well, you're quite obviously talking about the precept argument. As per usual.
Yep.
So I just want to know, how do you justify that your concept of God is the God that exists?
Well, the Trinity alone, right? That attribute is necessary to make knowledge possible. You can't deny knowledge. So you need
the Trinity is necessary? How can you explain that to me? I don't understand.
So imagine a puzzle. Okay. So you have individual pieces of a puzzle, right? And you also, when you put the puzzles together, they fit into one big picture.
Mm-hmm.
So the pieces you can think of as the many, and the big picture is the one. Okay.
Yeah.
The universe is like the jigsaw puzzle. So, in the universe, we have parts people, stars, laws of physics. Those are parts of the universe. But then there's a big picture of the universe too, that math works everywhere. Gravity applies to everyone.
Yeah, so are you trying to say that the highest domain of unity for all things is the universe?
Well, I'm trying to explain this thing that's necessary to know the universe. That we have to be able to see the individual pieces, the puzzle pieces, but we have to also see how the puzzle pieces connect to each other to form the big picture.
Yeah, so the puzzle pieces would be each finite thing, and then the highest domain of unity, once all those pieces are together in unity, you see the universe.
We have the one, the big picture, and then we have the many, the puzzle pieces. And science can't explain this combination of things. It just assumes that they exist. And atheism and materialism can't explain it either. If everything is just like random particles, then why is there like this? Why do the things that are random connect to form a big picture? And so what we need is a puzzle maker. We look at the world, we see a puzzle has to be designed, right? And the designer of the puzzle has to have.
Well, that's just the watchmaker fallacy.
No, it's not. It's a transcendental.
Yeah, you're saying because you think you see design that requires a designer.
No, I'm not saying that.
Like you're making a really poor metaphor there by saying a puzzle when we know puzzles are man-made things that require a creator. There's not a natural process that creates a puzzle with pieces that fit together like that. The universe isn't like that.
I'm not getting this. You're not getting this. You have.
I don't think you're getting it.
You're not getting this. To have knowledge, the individual pieces have to be real, and the big picture has to be real. Both of those things have to be real for knowledge to be possible.
Yeah, so to have knowledge, all you need is a concrete foundation on which that knowledge is built from, right? So your argument is that is the mind of God, specifically the Christian God, which you can't justify without getting into dogmatism, by the way. All the tag argument really states is that there has to be something that unifies the universe together to create the possibility of truth.
Dude, no, you're not listening. Listen. You have an ontology. I have an ontology. Okay? And the ontology has to be such that ultimate reality is both one and many. But you don't have that.
What do you mean by ultimate reality is one and many?
Fundamental reality has to embody both unity and plurality, or else knowledge is impossible. Because if ultimately everything was just one thing, then distinctions would be an illusion. And if ultimately everything was many things, then connections would be an illusion. So ultimately, at rock bottom of reality, there has to be a being that is both one and many, and only Christianity posits this type of ontology. And that type of
so tag doesn't require it to be a being.
Stop! That type of ontology is necessary for knowledge to be possible. You do not have that type of ontology. Only Christians
Sure I do.
You're just lying now. So you think? Why do you come up here and lie?
So why do you just claim I'm lying without hearing me out first?
Because I don't need to hear you out. I've researched this topic. Only Christians have an you haven't. If you're saying that you have an ontology of a co-ultimate that's one and many, you don't have that.
Yeah, so that would be the universe itself. Like you mentioned in your puzzle analogy, the big picture and then the many parts, right? So the big picture is the universe itself. So the universe itself is the highest domain of unity for all finite things. It has self-unity within itself. Okay?
You're just lying. So what's your relationship?
So the universe itself is fully independent, non-contingent, it's the source of itself, and it's necessarily revelatory.
Yeah, okay. So what was your relationship like with your father?
Fantastic. Me and my father have a very close relationship.
Really? I don't understand, like, what is with this attention-seeking behavior? Because, like, I know you're full of shit.
So you're going through the same spiel that you went through with the other guy, and you're ultimately going to kick me. So can we actually get into my argument a little bit, instead of you just getting upset and whining and complaining?
Well, the problem is you just fucking lied straight to my face. So why
is the universe real and concrete?
Stop. Pubble. Why the fuck should I sit here and let you lie to me and disrespect me?
I'm not lying. I'm trying to explain my side.
No, you're lying.
What am I lying about?
When I ask you about an ontology with a one and many that are co-ultimate, and you say the universe, that's a lie.
Can you define ontology for me?
Okay. You know what I can do? Guess what I'm going to do?
Likely going to kick me.
Welcome, Davids.
Welcome. Or hi. Not welcome. Hi.
Welcome to your doom.
Oh boy. Well, I just kind of wanted to learn because I had never even heard of the precept position.
Okay, sure. Well, do you just want me to like give you the basics or something?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a deconstructed Christian,
Oh God, you gotta
but
deconstruct atheism.
I'm I'm an agnostic.
That's atheism. Same thing. You reject the creator-creature distinction. You don't affirm the creator-creature distinction, so you're an atheist.
I don't affirm it. I don't reject it though.
Sure, but not affirming it is it's just indirect. You're just being polite about your atheism. But anyways, it doesn't really
Sure.
matter. So basically, any non-Christian. Well, do you know what a worldview is? That's kind of
Yeah.
intuitive. So the worldview is like your assumptions about existence, truth, and ethics. That's your worldview. What you think about existence, truth, and ethics. Those beliefs affect how you interpret reality.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a horizontal morality, meaning that I have priority between relationships of human to human contact, and anything that causes harm between human contact is immoral.
Yeah, and that's again begging the question. So, anyways, the idea is that any non-Christian position is going to fail to provide the necessary preconditions for intelligibility. You wouldn't be able to explain or account for the universal invariant laws of logic, the uniformity of nature, the reliability of human cognition, or the objective moral values that everyone everyone acts like there's objective moral values. Some people claim they don't believe in them, but no one lives their life like that. So non-Christianity is epistemologically self-defeating and collapses under the weight of its own inconsistencies, no matter which way you go. So that's kind of how the argument works. Like, God isn't just a fact, God is a system of truth. You and me have like different systems, and like only the Christian system of truth is coherent. Any non Christian system will implode. It doesn't make sense. It's impossible, self defeating. So that's how we prove Christianity.
Okay. So are you saying that the universe gets its moral justification from God?
Yeah.
Okay.
The source, he's the source of like absolute objective moral claims, judgments, value judgments.
So is that just faith based, or are you claiming evidence?
Um, well, no, there'd be evidence, right? Because there's tangible, like there's the history of the church. That's like a tangible evidence. There's the Bible. It's a tangible evidence. And then there's also like metaphysical realities. Like the fact that you and me are having this conversation is only possible in a Christian worldview. It's not possible to have this conversation in any other model of reality.
That's for Christians.
No, for everyone.
Yes.
No,
No, it's only possible for the Christian worldview.
no. It's for everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, because like everyone assumes the uniformity of nature, right? Doesn't matter if you're a Christian or you're not a Christian. Everyone assumes the uniformity of nature, but only Christians.
Not humanists.
No, everyone assumes it's necessary for reasoning to assume the uniformity of nature. Have blind faith in it, right? So only Christians have more.
Yeah, but humanists don't believe that. Not everybody does.
They have to. It's impossible not to.
No, humanists believe that humans are the ultimate form of life and consciousness derived from humanity, and that it was a miraculous benefit of life.
Okay, but that's irrelevant, right? But and also like that's just nonsense. But everyone, no matter who you are, you believe in the uniformity of nature, and only Christians have an epistemic justification for the uniformity of nature. So whether you admit it or not, you're like borrowing from the Christian capital every time you like talk. You already live like Christianity's true, so you might as well just like accept it's true rather than like do this cognitive dissonance denial of the obvious truth.
So you consider the Bible as an absolute truth, like the Word of God.
Yeah, the Bible's the word of God, correct. I take
Okay, see, that's the disconnect.
Yeah, but if the Bible's not the authority, then what would be the authority? That's, to be like what, a human mind?
Right, and that's where my deconstruction kind of began. Was I stopped listening to the church. I started reading the Bible. I was like, stage one of my deconstruction was I don't want the church to tell me what to believe anymore. I want to just read the Bible and interpret it, and only go to the church whenever I like have questions about what I'm reading.
That's a
And
big
then
problem.
I'm sorry.
That's a big problem because there's like confirmation bias, and you're going to insert your opinion into a bunch of context. You need to use other people. You can't just interpret the Bible on your own. It's called eisegesis. It's like wrong to do that because you're going to put.
Well, that's where scholar comes in. I wasn't interpreting the Bible. I was studying the Bible in a historical context.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then I was using that historical interpretation to reconcile my beliefs. And it was conflicting with what the church was telling me.
Okay. Well, this is nothing like specific, so I can't really comment on any of this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Anyways, the point is that getting down to the deconstruction of like where I was like, okay, I just want to be a biblical scholar diving into the Bible. I just don't see how the Bible is the absolute word of God when historically it's been controlled by the church before the public was able to read and write for so long, pre-Enlightenment era.
That's not. I don't see that. I don't see what you're talking about.
So before the Enlightenment era, before the printing press,
we have thousands of manuscripts. We know that the Bible's like consistent. It's like accurate throughout time.
Well, we have thousands of manuscripts that were written and controlled by the church.
No. The Dead Sea Scrolls were controlled by the church, and
the manuscripts were controlled by the scholars who could read and write, and the only people who could read and write were the scholars in the church.
No, there wasn't a central like authority that was controlling things. There was a lot of freedom in the church.
Yeah, but the church was the central authority.
Yeah, but there was a lot of freedom. They didn't control what people. That was like Islam you're thinking of. We're not like Islam.
No, the church was the central government authority for hundreds of years, and the public didn't have access to interpret those manuscripts for hundreds of years. That's what I'm saying. The power, centralized power, had access to religious manuscripts.
That was later. And all the manuscripts are developed from a period where there was like way more freedom.
No, it wasn't later. It was
again, another guest lies.
It's not lie. This is history. You can look it up. The Enlightenment era didn't come until they came overseas to the new America.
Dude, the early church, there was no central authority that like created John, Matthew, Luke, Mark. Those weren't created by those were created by free people.
You're right.
And they were
I'm not talking about that.
Central authority didn't come till way later. There's nothing.
You're right.
So it's irrelevant.
No, it is relevant. You're not listening to my point. The time frame of the Enlightenment era happens around the time that people were coming overseas. And the church was the central power structure, the government, for hundreds of years before that period, and was controlling the manuscripts.
No, there was two powers. There was the state and the church, and they competed for power. There wasn't a central power.
Yes, but the church was the ones who had the manuscripts.
So what? We can compare them to early manuscripts, and they're the same.
So if they're the ones competing for power and the people can't read and write, what do you think they're doing to the manuscripts?
We can look at earlier manuscripts and see they're the same. What are you talking? We had the Dead Sea Scrolls we found, right? And the book of Isaiah was like 95% accurate. So no one changed the fucking book, dude.
That's not the entire Bible. I absolutely agree with you
All
on
right.
the Dead Sea Scrolls.
I'm just, this is just so dumb. Like, I'm just gonna move on, I think, because it's just really dumb. Like, I'm sorry you got deceived by deconstruction Christians. You've been lied to, and you've been sold you know, that sucks for you, I guess. Yeah, and he leaves. Just fucking people have no idea what they're talking about. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, bro? It's funny. Serendipitously jump into your live. You met somebody else mentioned or was asking me if I was you earlier. I think it's interesting the difference in opinion because I don't believe I'm not atheist per se. I'm more agnostic, given everything.
Well,
but
that's just a polite way to be an atheist.
No, not at all. Agnostic is essentially saying that if enough evidence is proven to support the existence of God, then you would accept that. Atheism is saying that there is no God.
Yeah, and you are saying there is no God, but you're just being polite.
I'm saying I don't believe in it. I'm agnostic.
Okay, but just because you claim something, does that settle the issue? If we do
what's the issue?
You are claiming that you're neutral on whether God exists or not.
No, I'm saying I don't have enough evidence to reinforce my belief that God exists.
Exactly. So you're claiming that you're neutral about whether God exists or not. But if we do a conceptual...
No, that's not being neutral. That's that's an inaccurate term to describe agnostics.
Fucking so stupid. Welcome, Dave.
Hi, Precept. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. So, I'm an atheist. Yeah. So, what makes you have such strong conviction?
The evidence. I think I'm most certain that, like,
what evidence?
Theological stuff. The transcendental
stuff.
The transcendental argument for God.
The transcendental argument for God, but that's circular.
Oh, where is it?
It's not real evidence.
Where is it circular?
It's not real evidence. You can't prove it with real. There's nothing to test. There's nothing to test or prove.
Where is it circular? How do you do a test without God?
What do you mean? How do you do a test? You test things. You test.
Yeah, but the test.
You use. Use evidence. Okay. Good.
Scientific inquiry is going to presuppose uniformity in nature. So how do you...
Okay, so the precept argument is it's a fallacy. You're leading people down a path.
Why should we expect the future to resemble the past?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna try to use the
yeah. He's gonna Google it, Dave. Yeah, Google it.
No, I was getting a text. Sorry, my father's in the hospital. Have a little consideration. Yeah. No, you're trying to use the uniformity of nature as a argument here.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say that's been debunked. Not debunked, but it's been debated. So also not 100% complete argument that you can use. It's not something that's foolproof. So
why should we expect the future to resemble the past?
What?
Why should we expect...
You can't. You can't.
Well, as a Christian, the universe is upheld by the sovereign, rational, and consistent God of Scripture who has ordained the regularities we observe.
Why do you need Christianity for that?
Well, why should we expect the future to resemble the past?
No, where's the necessariness? No, don't answer my question with a question.
You never answered my question.
Your question?
Why should we trust that the laws of physics will remain constant?
I said you can't. There's your
As a
answer.
Christian, though, the universe is upheld by a sovereign, rational, and consistent God of Scripture who has ordained.
Okay, we're going down the same argument. Why do you need Christianity?
Well, in the Christian worldview, the laws of physics remain consistent because God upholds the regularities we observe in
No,
nature.
you're repeating yourself. You're just using a different way to repeat it. Why do you need Christianity?
Because if you deny Christianity, then you wouldn't be able to.
You're doing it again. You're repeating yourself. Why do you need Christianity?
Thank you for coming, Dave.
Yeah, you can't handle it, bud.
What's your relationship?
Good job getting roasted.
What's your relationship like with your hospital father?
Very good.
Really? Maybe
Yeah.
like you felt
It's amazing.
growing up, your dad spent too much time in the hospital and he didn't give you enough attention. So now you come on to my TikTok and you're like,
Oh man, you're a real good Christian.
attention-seeking stuff.
Yeah, you're a real good Christian. People like you are the reason why people don't go to church, buddy.
Perhaps it was your mother. Was your mother very cold, like a Russian?
No, my mother's perfectly fine. She's amazing. You're the one who seems like you needed better parenting.
Did you have
You seem to have no morals, no politeness. You have nothing. You're a pathetic human. You're a pathetic human, and you need to come on here and put other people down and trash other people just to feel better about yourself. Get a day job, loser. Later. I'll leave before you kick me.
All right, I wish you well. Wow. I wish I could do debates, but all I end up doing is therapy. Maybe someday an atheist will debate me. Welcome, Levy.
You got slammed.
Cool. What objective standard would you be appealing to that I lost?
What?
What objective standard would you be appealing to? What?
Yeah, he just beat you.
Yeah, but by what objective standard?
The fact that he beat you and you lost.
Oh, okay.
That's the standard.
Oh, okay. So what would you like to say?
You kept repeating yourself and then he destroyed you. Like, he's so much right. Like, why did you go start talking about his family and stuff?
Because he wouldn't let me talk.
You just proved everything's wrong. You're the reason people don't like Christians and don't like going to church.
Well,
Exactly what he said.
I tried to make an argument and he wouldn't like listen to me and he was acting like a child, so then I thought he wanted therapy.
But you just kept like repeating yourself. You were doing exactly what I'm saying. You kept just repeating the same nonsense that you repeat all day.
That's like a cool opinion, but what happened was I tried to engage in an argument and what he did was act like a child. And when you act like a child, then that just indicates to me that
No, he didn't. No, that's not what happened at all. Stop trying to like actually delude yourself. You're such an idiot. You're trying to like save. I don't even know what you're like actually trying to lie to yourself. Like, you know that's not what happened. Jesus Christ.
Is that all you're here to say? Is just you have anything to argue?
No, hey, there's literally no point in arguing with you. You're in religious psychosis. You're completely deluded.
That's why we have to do therapy.
There's no way to bypass your lunacy.
I don't even know how
you're literally like.
I don't even know how you can argue as an atheist. So to me, when the atheist shows up to the debate,
I'm not arguing anything. I'm not trying to argue. I don't care about your opinion at all. You don't matter to me. I'm just saying you got slammed.
Okay.
And you need to get a day job. You need to get a life.
Oh, interesting opinion. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, so it's like your whole religious belief. Is it not the same thing? You can't say that to me. Well, my opinion is true, bro. My opinion's true.
Okay. So
Look at that. You haven't got a clue, mate. You come on here and you're like, hey, me, Christianity is objectively proven. No, it isn't. Just accept that. Get off TikTok, man. Get like a better hobby. Get a more kind of, I don't know, valuable thing. to the world, like something that adds value, you know?
Yeah, value, which you don't know what it means because you have no.
Oh yeah, value.
Hey, why don't you get off TikTok and add value to the world? Oh, well, what is the standard? What's the objective standard to say something has value? Get off TikTok. These people are so low tier. Holy shit. Holy balls, are they low tier? Uh, Oh, I'm starting to get really hungry. I'm starting to get hangry, guys. Oh, what am I gonna do for food? I should go get Chinese. That'd be awesome. What do you mean? Adam did. Adam did whatever Eve told him. I've been researching how like awesome the Bible is to women. I'm working on some arguments because people seem to think I'm getting the impression that these deconstruction weirdos think the Bible's like misogynistic, but it's actually like I find when I read the Bible a powerful message about how great women are. Eve is the pinnacle of creation. Eve bears the Son of God, or the woman bears the Son of God. Woman first witnesses the resurrection. Women defeat death. Through women, God defeats death. Eve means life. Did you know that? That's awesome, right? Adam just means like dirt. Yeah. Adam just did whatever Eve said. That's how it is in real life too, right? Like, sure, men have like the physical force, but women have much more power than men in other ways. This guy, Andrew Wilson, debater, he's like obsessed with like, oh, physical force, blah, 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 physical force. He doesn't see the power that women have. He doesn't respect their power. Yes, Eve was made from a living tissue where Adam was just made from dirt. So Eve was created out of a superior matter, I guess. Put what story together? I'm just using AI to help me, dude. I don't have to use my brain anymore. I got AI. Yes, people just assume that history was misogynistic, but the patriarchy really didn't start till like the 18th and 19th centuries. Before then, it was sort of like it waxed and waned, where like there were periods where women had like equal rights, pretty much. Oh, I watched my dad die in the hospital, so it's like shit happens, dude. What are you gonna do? You gotta be like Rocky. Yeah, when I on Judgment Day, I'll go, but God, AI told me you didn't exist. Man, the stupid Chinese server is always busy. I'm not gonna get Chinese food then. Changed my mind. Adam means like earth, so I'm kind of like taking a liberty. I'm just saying it means dirt because I'm just kind of like throwing shade towards the male gender or sex. Dude, fuck that guy. Why did he even bring up his dad's in the hospital to like get to do emotional blackmail on me? I'm not gonna let people emotionally blackmail me. Fuck that shit. Oh, my parents died of cancer. Please believe in Jesus because my parents died of cancer. I mean, I don't bring that up in debate. Both my parents are fucking dead. He's lucky his dad's alive. I can't even talk to I can't get a text from my dad. Hello. Hello. What would you like to say?
I want to talk about the first Christianity is objectively proven.
Yes.
For me, I respect you guys, but I don't believe that.
Okay.
I mostly believe that Islam is the way.
I'm not allowed to talk to Muslims. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, bro.
I get banned if I talk to Muslims. So you're gonna have to change your
I just
name.
want to clarify the narrative that you're trying to twist right now. Because you asked him, "Oh, you're trying to Google, aren't you? You're trying to Google," and he verbatim replied, "I got a text. My father's in the hospital." That was the extent of his description. And now you're trying to say that he was emotionally blackmailing you so that you
Hell
can come
yeah,
off
he
as the
was.
victim,
Hell yeah.
bro.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
come on.
Hell
All you
yeah.
had to do was, you know
Absolutely.
what? I
Whoa,
apologize. I
whoa,
should not have
stop.
brought up your dad. We're talking
Stop.
about religion. We're talking about
Stop.
what theism. You should have apologized
Stop.
and said that was out of line. I should not
Wow.
have said that.
Wow. Who
Whether you've lost a
the
parent,
fuck do you
he's
think you
lost a
are?
parent, I've lost a
Are you
parent, there is
stop.
no reason for you to
Stop.
go and attack
Stop.
somebody and bring that up just because
Stop.
you're losing a fucking
Stop.
argument.
Are you gonna stop? Let's have a conversation about it. Fuck's sake. And he just leaves. This is what they want to do. They want to preach and fucking leave. They don't want to defend them. What a coward. Mars, you're a coward. So look, I asked him a question and then he teacupped. So I go, "Oh, what are you Googling it?" I'm teasing him. And he goes, "I got a text. My father is in the hospital." Well, maybe he's getting like breast implants. You know, maybe we don't know why he's in the hospital. Maybe his father's getting breast implants. That's why he's in the hospital. So, should I care that his father's getting breast implants? There's no context there. And secondly, the fuck is he like even bringing up his father being in the hospital? He could just say, "I got a text." But the fact that he goes, "From my father in the hospital," that is emotional blackmail. We're in a fucking debate and he wants to bring up his father in the hospital. That is emotional fucking blackmail. That's a rhetorical bullshit thing to do. And if you do that shit on my live, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to feel sorry for you.
This is to clarify. Nobody's scared of you. Nobody's running away.
You are scared.
You didn't have you didn't want to have a conversation initially.
me,
So I
bitch.
assumed safely that you didn't want to have a conversation the second time.
Scared.
Is that what you're gonna say? Seeing as I'm here and I'm
what,
proving you wrong.
what reason other than fucking emotional blackmail during a debate
are you going to bring up, oh, my father's
For
in the
context,
hospital?
because you implied
Don't you
that
think that's
he is
fucking bullshit
Googling
to
a
do?
reply, right? You
Isn't
mentioned
that
something and
bullshit?
he was.
Isn't that a bullshit
Had
thing
he
to do to
used it?
someone?
Has he used it as
Hello?
emotional blackmail? Yes, I would agree with you. I would agree with you that emotional blackmail does not fit in any sort
Yeah.
of
If you
argument.
don't believe in
He
Jesus, then
didn't
I'm going to
use emotional
unalive
blackmail because
myself.
verbatim it was 3-word sentence.
Yeah, if you don't believe in my argument, I'm going to unalive myself.
You see how you're shifting the
Can you
point and
just
shifting the
believe in my
narrative
argument,
because
or
you
else
can't
what?
handle the point at
Oh,
hand.
are we?
Stay
I
on
guess
topic,
emotional
stay on
blackmail is okay
context.
in a debate.
That wasn't
I thought you
emotional
were defending
blackmail
emotional
because it was a
blackmail.
compartmentalized statement for context.
Mars,
I am getting a text. Bro,
Mars, you're
I get
hurting my
it. You're out of your
feelings.
league, but the fact
Mars,
is that when you're trying to manipulate and
Mars,
change
I'm
the
gonna,
narrative, you're like,
Mars,
it's crazy,
I'm
dog.
gonna unalive myself. I
That's
can't
not
handle this
blackmail.
criticism.
All
Mars,
right, can you
please
mute
stop.
yourself, bro?
You're hurting
How
my
about this? Mute
feelings.
yourself and I'll talk to your chat. I'll even get you even more
Okay.
followers in here. 10 times more engaging than
Okay,
you.
but
So how
remember,
about you
you're
mute
hurting my
yourself and I'll take over your
feelings.
chat, all right?
My feelings.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do that. All right, so mute yourself. Let's do this. Who's actually dealing with some of these prompts? Nobody's crying in the box. I'm simply standing up for something I believe is wrong, factual, like morally
Hurting
wrong.
my
If you're a
feelings.
Christian, then morality should be important to you, right? And if God is real and he's watching, then how do you think he's going to judge that his behavior, his rhetoric right there?
My emotions.
Verbatim
Goodness.
was, oh, you're Googling it right now. No, I got a text. My father's in the hospital. That was the end of that context.
Why
That
does
was
he
the
have
end.
why does he add my father's
For
in the
context,
hospital? Why does he say
yes,
that?
maybe he didn't need to. Maybe he didn't need to.
No,
We can
he
agree on
needed
that.
to,
That's
but
not
that's
emotional blackmail.
that is emotional
Emotional
blackmail.
blackmail would have been my father's in the content in the you insensitive
My
asshole.
father's
I'm
dying of
taking time to
cancer.
reply. Why are
If you
you getting
believe
on
in
my case? I'm
Jesus,
simply replying to my dad who's in the hospital. Why are you being so
Mars,
angry, such a bad host?
my
That
Christian
would be
father's dying
emotional
of cancer.
blackmail.
If
But
you
you
believe
can't
in
seem to
Jesus, it might
fathom
help
that
him pull
discrepancy,
through.
that difference in his behavior, in his rhetoric, to comprehend and establish the difference that this is emotional blackmail. What he did was not. And I made a mistake by trying to get under his skin by bringing up something that's extremely sensitive to every fucking human on this planet, is losing a parent, dog. And if you've lost a parent, you should know the amount of pain that even considering that possibility is. All you had to do was, you know what? I apologize. That was out of line. I should not have said that. We'll agree to disagree. I believe in God. You believe what you want. I should not have brought up your parents. Like, you shouldn't bring up my parents if I'm going through something. It's not fucking rocket science, bro. It's not fucking brain surgery. And if you actually believe in God, this should be obvious to you. This should be fucking crystal clear to you that treating others as you want to be treated is fucking what rule is that
Yes,
in your
if
fucking
I
commandments?
do that emotional blackmail shit, I want someone to call me out. So I am treating them how I want others to be treated. But Mars, my
That wasn't
6-year-old
emotional
with
blackmail. Okay,
leukemia.
then at that point, we don't agree what emotional blackmail is. And I gave you different examples of what I consider emotional blackmail and why I didn't consider that emotional blackmail. And instead of you addressing and responding to that, you're going of the blah, 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 blah. Like, what the fuck, bro? Say
My child
something.
has leukemia and he's going through chemotherapy. If he really loves Jesus, and if you convert, I think that would help him pull through.
I don't think that would help him
Please
at
be
all, but I'm
Christian.
sorry that your father's going through leukemia. I have a parent going through shit too. I lost my
No.
parent when I was 4. So it's a
Oh.
personal subject
That makes
when you
me
go and
feel
use other
good.
people's parents,
Oh.
especially knowing, and see, here's the thing is, at this point, I don't know if you're lying. And if you are lying about that, it just goes to show the depth of narcissism that you're in, right? But if you're not lying, then you understand the pain and you've either disassociated to the point where you cannot entertain it right now to literally incorporate the pain that you once felt of losing a parent and say, you know what I said, I should not have said. I should not brought that up. It's not fucking rocket science.
I disagree.
That emotional blackmail doesn't fit in a conversation. What do you disagree with?
You hurt my feelings. I have to kick you. Welcome, Clayster.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, I don't know. I guess people are upset because, like, I called some guy out on using emotional blackmail in the debate.
What was he trying to say?
I asked him a tough question that he can't answer, and he teacups. And I go, "Oh yeah, Google it." Like I was just teasing him. I wasn't being serious. And he goes, "Actually, I got a text from my father who's in the hospital." And I'm like, "Why do you have to add that you got a text? Like, just say I got a text. Why do you have to tell me your father's in the hospital? That's emotional blackmail." And I called him out on that, and people are thinking I'm a jerk.
Well, I mean, why would you not just say, "Oh, I hope your father feels better"?
Because when people use sleazy rhetorical shit like that in a debate, I think it's bullshit. And so I just said what I feel in my heart.
Sure, but the world isn't about debates. Like the world is
Yeah, but
about. I mean, under a
I'm
biblical
in the
worldview.
middle. If I'm in the middle of a fucking debate with you, and then you go, "Oh, by the way, my mom's dying right now." It's like,
Well, I
why are
think.
you fucking bringing that up in a debate?
Well, because I think
That's
living
that's
like Jesus is probably more.
that's a rhetorical strategy. It's called emotional blackmail, and I think it is rotten. Like, what about the fact that that sleazebag is using his sick father to gain an advantage on an online debate? How fucked up is that?
Didn't you like yesterday?
Hello?
Basically, yesterday you said, "Oh, you must not have a good relationship with your parents." Isn't that basically the same thing?
No, I try to do debates with people, and then they want therapy. It's not my fault. I try to debate, and then they want
Right.
therapy.
But you also brought up like emotional blackmail to me yesterday, and then you said, and then I asked about your parents, and then you said your parents were dead, and then like, isn't that not the same thing?
My parents died of cancer, and I don't bring that. Well, you asked me about my parents.
Right,
I don't.
because you
Do I
brought it
bring
up.
that up? Do I
No, you
bring
yeah,
that up?
no, you brought up. You said I don't have a good relationship with my father out of nowhere.
Dude, you're just a liar.
No, that's what you said. Remember?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of bored if you're just gonna lie. So here's my question. Don't you think it's really rotten of my guest to use his father in the hospital as like a way to gain an advantage in an online discussion? Do you think that's despicable or not?
I didn't hear what he said, so I don't really trust you to be inaccurate.
Well, I'm bored. You bore me. Entertain me with a banana or something next time. So, theological reclamation of Eve. So, we're going to dismantle traditional readings of Genesis that portray Eve as inferior. So, first is the creation order. Eve is created last, not as an afterthought, but as the climax of creation. Just as Adam is not inferior to the animals created before him, Eve's later creation signals her role as the culmination of God's creative work. Isn't that beautiful? Women are great. I love women. Women are the best, y'all. And these goofball, why do these guys keep coming up? This is I'm trying to do debates.
What?
What leaders? What leaders are women in the Bible? There's Deborah in Judges 4 through 5. There's Esther, and there's Mary Magdalene is a leader or a teacher because she first witnesses the resurrection and then she teaches the resurrection to the disciples. Yeah, Mars, are you just gonna like do just complain about emotions and stuff?
You brought me up, bro. I was about to swipe off, and you brought me up. So I'm trying to see you're bringing me up for a reason. So you're either projecting that you'd like to talk to somebody about whatever it is troubling you, which is why you continue to mention therapy, or you're actually trying to engage or have a dialogue, right? But you're not clear on any of those.
I'm trying to debate that Christianity is true and atheism is ridiculous. That's what I'm trying to do.
Right. And why was it that you initially kicked me out?
Because you're like unreasonable. You're an unreasonable person.
No. What was verbatim or exactly is as closely as you can describe our initial encounter? What was the reason you kicked me out of the box before the second guy with the dad and whatever you want to call it came in?
I don't remember exactly.
Okay, it was because I said I'm agnostic, and you said that's a polite way of saying that's atheist, and I explained to you that no, I'm not atheist for A, B, and C, and you went on and on that that's just a nice way. You got confirmation from your chat, and then you kicked me. Do you think that fosters a constructive environment to have this dialogue that you continue to say that you want?
Yeah, you can't be an atheist though, because you to say you're an
It
agnostic.
can't be an atheist, or it can't be
Look, I
agnostic.
remember now. I said you're neutral towards God, and you said no, I'm not neutral, and then you go, I'm neutral, and so it's like you're so goofy. I can't talk to you because you just denying. Like you go, I'm not neutral, but I'm neutral, but you just use other words to
Yeah,
say.
see, I never said I'm neutral.
Yeah, you used other words that meant the same thing as saying you're neutral while denying.
No, because neutrality
I don't want to
means...
fucking talk to you.
So, yeah, so you see what I mean? Do your thing. You're suffering from some sort of delusion and mental disorder, man, that you're constantly
How are you
looking
not neutral?
for connection. You're constantly looking to interact and engage, but you kick people so that you can feel in control so that others don't leave you. This is a common behavior from multiple people. Like it's just, dog, at one point you have to look at yourself, and not even look at yourself. Talk to the God that you believe in. God, am I being the best person I can be? Is this how I should
How are you
behave?
not neutral?
Is this how I should talk to
What is
others?
your position? What's your position if you're not neutral? What the fuck is your position?
Verbatim, I will repeat it as closely as I can, word for word. I don't have enough evidence to support the belief in God. Therefore, if enough evidence or substantial evidence was presented to me, then I could adopt that. That isn't neutrality. That is
But
no.
exactly, you've adopted a model of reality where you don't accept that you're created by God.
Yeah, see, you're jumping to conclusions. You're making assumptions based on my position of agnosticism.
Do you accept you are created by God?
By the God in the Old Testament or New Testament?
Do you accept that you're created by God?
No, but see, that's what you're...
Okay, stop! Do you have evidence that you were not created by God?
No.
So did you not violate your standard that you go, well, if I'm going to accept I'm created by God, I need evidence. But you have accepted that you're not created by God without evidence. So you see how you violated your own standard?
No. What?
You said I need evidence that I'm created by God.
Let's
but
run
you
that through
also
that again.
believe you are not created by God, and you don't have evidence for that. So when you say I have a standard that I need evidence to believe something,
do you
you're
have bipolar
lying.
disorder?
You're lying.
Do you have bipolar disorder?
Do you have lying disorder?
That's not a medical condition. Do you have? It seems like you have bipolar disorder, which would explain.
It seems like you are a liar. Where do they grow these people?
Yo, what's up?
What's up, man?
We're discussing. I thought you changed the picture.
What's that?
What are we discussing? Atheism?
Typically, make fun of atheism.
Okay. I'm not an atheist, though.
Okay, well then I guess we don't disagree.
Yeah. If science is intelligent, Jesus, no slavery.
Oh, this is a different prompt. I had this one.
Well, I wouldn't say Christianity is objectively proven.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah.
You don't think it's objectively proven?
I think it's very hard to objectively prove something across every people.
Well, I don't see
from my perspective, at least.
Well, I would say the transcendental argument for God would be an objective proof that Christianity is true. I think it's a very good argument. And I've never heard a counter argument that makes sense. When I give the argument, the atheist just goes to straight like goof mode.
Yeah.
So I'm confident to say that. I mean, I think Paul says in Romans 1 that like God is obviously true, and no one has an excuse to deny him. So,
But would you say that it's their perspective on it, or that they don't want to believe it, but they know it's kind of true?
it's like, yeah, I'd say they're like in denial. I'm gonna give someone else a chance to talk.
Sure.
Some opposition. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'd say they're just Paul says they're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. So that's what I would say. Welcome, CJ.
You, how you doing?
Doing well. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I was hearing that you think the transcendental argument proves Christianity, but I think that Christianity isn't objectively proven, but I think that a source can be objectively proven. I don't know why it has to fit into the Christian dialect, though.
How you think ultimate reality can be proven, but it doesn't have to be Christian?
Yeah, it's like obviously it exists, but something existed before Christianity was written.
It's not obvious because like philosophers like argue about it. Like the first they thought ultimate reality was like earth, wind, fire, water, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I just think that's just like labeling human words and stuff like that. I think before the word was written, things still existed, so it doesn't have to go like one in one with what was written in the Christian perspective.
Well, you need a worldview.
Well, you actually don't, in my opinion. Like people can live life without a worldview.
No, the world. Everyone has a worldview. It's your beliefs that form like the beliefs that you use to evaluate the world.
Yeah, but I think they're constantly changing. There's like an impermanence about everything.
Everyone has a worldview.
Well, everyone also has impermanence, though.
So what? So the worldview, the way we argue this is that only Christians have like a coherent worldview. So no other worldview can make sense of observable data.
Well, I can understand how the transcendental argument can argue that a God has to exist, but from the Christian perspective, it's just putting that God into one perspective. Like God did create everything.
It's not just a Christian perspective.
So in order to, I was going to say, in order to argue against something, if God created everything, you would inherently be arguing against something that God created.
So any position you have to account for the preconditions of argument, or else you can't argue from your position.
Yeah, true, but I'm saying it's a paradoxical thing. I don't think that humans can ever get to the bottom of it.
Okay, well then you can't argue, and only Christians can.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't argue, and I don't think a Christian can either. I think both of our points would kind of meet themselves.
That's a contradiction. If you can't argue, you can't say anything about what a Christian can or can't do. You're in no position to say anything.
In a way, but it's kind of just me pulling the steam out of the argument. It's just like obviously there's a source.
You're literally just decapitating your own head, and then you keep talking, and so that's goofy. Now you get kicked.
Oh, look at you just kicking people.
That guy just said that he can't make an argument, and then he starts to make arguments.
I don't know, but you brought up Paul and Romans.
If you come up here and you say like, well, the earth exists and it doesn't exist at the same time, I'm gonna kick you.
I'm inclined to say it now that you just said that. I'm kidding.
Go for it.
I'm kidding. So you brought up Paul and Romans. What about Paul and 1 Corinthians?
What about it?
It's all it is Paul writing a letter to somebody testifying that things happened. Can you take that as an absolute truth?
Everything in the Bible is the inspired word of God.
Okay, so if a guy came up to you on the street, said that he saw God, and he handed you and said, hey, this is a letter I wrote to somebody I know saying that 500 witnesses can attest to it, does that raise your confidence in the claim?
No.
Okay, so then why do you take Paul seriously?
Because Paul is a prophet of God.
But that's exactly what Paul's doing in 1 Corinthians. He's just writing a letter to somebody.
Yeah, and he's ordained by God.
So how do you know that guy isn't ordained by God?
Context.
That's exactly what Paul did, without any context to the person that he was writing to.
It's not. It's just not. It's totally different context.
No, it's not. It's the same criteria.
according to you?
It's literally line by line the same criteria. Somebody writing a letter,
No, it's
testifying to eyewitness testimony about an event that happened.
No, it's not.
Okay, you can play the no, it's not game all day long.
Yes, I can.
Interesting. So,
No, it's not.
do you take the story of Genesis to be allegorical or factual historical truth?
What makes you think I take anything?
That's why I'm asking for clarification.
You're not asking.
I clearly just asked a question.
You didn't.
Okay, I guess I didn't. I'll ask it again. I'm asking you this question. Do you take the story of Genesis in the Bible as allegorical or historical factual truth?
You're not asking a question.
Do I need to say question mark after I state it?
You're not asking a question.
How am I not asking a question?
Well, to ask a question, I don't know.
What? Dude, Mars, I think you're just trolling at this point.
Yeah, I am.
Interesting. Does Darth also troll too? Or is he actually serious?
Yeah. So anyways, material superiority. So Adam, which means earth, is formed from dust, while Eve, which means life, is formed from living flesh. So this suggests that she embodies a higher form of life, symbolizing vitality and relationality. The shared responsibility for the fall. So both Adam and Eve disobey God in Genesis 3:6. Yet patriarchal traditions blame Eve alone, despite Adam's passive complicity. So Adam's failure to lead or resist makes him equally culpable, undermining claims of male headship. So Eve is not just a weak temptress, but a representative of humanity's shared frailty. But the patriarchal Christians want to scapegoat Eve because they have mommy issues.
Why'd you kick that guy?
Because I talked to him a lot. He was just ignoring what I was saying. And it's just like
He wasn't ignoring. He was definitely. You guys were having a genuine conversation, and then you just gave up on it.
You ignored what I said.
He was asking you good questions, and then you
Look,
just
I
stopped
answered
talking.
your question. That's it. I'm not going to argue about this.
Why are you yelling?
Because I'm not going to argue with you about
It's
why
not that
I
serious,
hit
man.
someone.
It's not that serious.
I gave you an answer. You can
It's not that
accept
serious.
it, or you can.
It's not
screw
that
off.
serious.
Right, dude. Well, then leave.
I just want to know, like, are you scared to have a good debate with somebody?
You want to debate? Are you a fucking atheist?
Nah, the things you do confuse me.
Are you an
I just
atheist?
wanted to get a bottom to it. Am I an atheist? Nah,
What are you?
I'm Jewish.
You're Jewish?
Yeah.
You want to debate?
Yeah, I want to debate why you kicked that guy.
Oh my goodness, I'm back up here. Let's go.
I'd rather talk about how women are awesome because you're kind of a waste of time. So, do you have anything?
Oh, women are awesome. What do you mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to talk about how the Bible teaches like how women are the greatest. So that's what I'm trying to do. Do you have anything substance to offer? Do you have like an argument for atheism?
Do I have an argument for atheism?
Yeah.
That there's no substantiating evidence to prove the contrary.
God. Do you realize that's a fallacy?
No.
No. Okay, so
hold on. It's actually not an argument from ignorance. So hold on, precept. If I told you that there was a flying spaghetti monster outside your window and I had no way to prove it, is that still justification for you to believe that?
What? There's this flying spaghetti monster outside your window and you have no way to prove it. What is that a justification? Is this a serious question?
Yeah, is that a justification to believe it?
No.
Okay, so you wouldn't believe it.
So in the same way, I don't believe in a God. There's no substantiating evidence to
That's
prove
not
it.
the same. That's not the same.
It's exactly the same.
Not exactly the same.
Okay, I'm going to circle back to my other question. Do you believe Genesis to be allegorical or pure
No.
historical
I'm going to
fact?
ask a question.
Go for it.
If
Go
I
for
were
it.
to say theism is true because there's no evidence for atheism, would you accept that logic?
Well, atheism in of its definition is not believing in the contrary.
I'm not hearing an answer to the question.
So hold on. Repeat your question.
If I said theism is true because there's no evidence for atheism, would you accept that logic?
No, because
Why do you accept that logic when you say,
hold on.
hey, I'm an atheist
I'll
because
explain.
there's no
I'll
evidence for
explain.
theism?
I will
What's the
explain.
difference? Okay.
Because within the terms of atheism and theism is making the claim, which falls upon the burden of proof. Atheism is not making any
This is
claim.
not a counter argument. So, anyways, since logic is universal, do you understand that if you can apply the same logic to prove something opposite of your position, do you see how that's bad logic?
If I can apply logic,
The same reason to prove the opposite of what your position is. Don't you see how that's bad logic? Because logic is supposed to be universal.
okay,
So if
but
your logic
my
can
point
prove,
being is that
if your logic can
theism.
prove mutually exclusive things, that's a problem.
Okay, so hold on. So if theism is making the claim that there is a superior being, and atheism.
Doesn't get you out of the problem.
So hold on.
Just you're ignoring what I'm saying. Don't you see that because logic is universal, if your logic
you're forgetting the
can prove
initial
two-
terms of
Connor,
the difference between
Connor,
atheism and theism.
Connor, it's irrelevant. You're ignoring the issue. The issue is that the same logic, your logic, proves two mutually exclusive positions. So that's bad logic. You get it?
Okay, so then I'll tackle a different line of arguments. Would that make you feel better?
What?
I'll tackle a different argument. Would that
You're
make you
gonna
feel
admit
better?
that's not a rationale for atheism?
I'm gonna play by your game. I'm gonna play your game. That's what I'm gonna do.
Fucking such a loser, dude. What a loser. What? It's not my game. Debate is a game. Logic is not. It's not like my logic. I'm talking about the fucking logic you gave me and how illogical it is, and he doesn't want to address it. What's up, CJ?
Yo, sorry, I contradicted myself earlier and you kind of kicked me. But I realized I contradicted myself because we were talking about like absolute knowledge versus human knowledge. And I think that's where we weren't very clear on what we were talking about. Also, sorry, I'm kind of sick, but I don't think that we can have any absolute knowledge, but we can have human knowledge.
That's a contradiction. Again, that's an absolute. These people can't help but contradict themselves.
Well, how is it a contradiction that I
It's
can't
an
have
absolute knowledge claim that says there's no absolute knowledge claims, but
Well,
you just made an absolute knowledge claim.
I said we can't have absolute knowledge claims.
That's an absolute knowledge claim.
Yeah, well, can you have absolute knowledge? Can you personally?
Yes.
In what way? Like, how can you argue for your absolute knowledge of everything?
Because like the law of logic is necessary in every possible world, so they're absolute.
Well, I think to have absolute knowledge, you would have to have the insight from every living thing, every single opinion, every insight possible. How can you fit all that into your finite mind?
Well, I can't, but God can, and because
And that's where the contradiction for you.
Stop.
Sorry.
God can know everything, and then because I am made in God's image, and there's an analogical relationship between my mind and God's mind, then I can make absolute knowledge claims.
So if Shakespeare wrote a character, if Shakespeare is writing characters, right? Can Romeo and Juliet know what Shakespeare is thinking because Shakespeare wrote them? Like a lot of people play these characters. Do you think these characters on theater? Do you think they knew what Shakespeare was thinking because they are Romeo and Juliet? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, what you said, yeah, I can understand because based on your response, it seems like you have a major malfunction in your frontal lobe.
Well, I told you I'm a little sick right now. I apologize. I'm a little like foggy brain. But But yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me. I think that we were made, we can exist within the mind of God or whatever is happening, but we can't exactly, like get to that understanding, that insight ever. I think that's why we argue so much. You're not gonna ever get to the bottom of you'd be able to explain something and then everybody would fall in line if you had that absolute insight.
No. People are in rebellion of God. When Jesus came to earth, what did people do? They put him on a cross and crucified him. So people unalive God. They hate God. They rebel at God. Even though God's entered into human history, revealed himself to us, and sacrificed himself for us because he loves us so much, and you still reject him. So you need to repent and stop doing this crap.
Well, I think that's also paradoxical if God created everything. If God created everything, you're basically rebelling against God anyways by rebelling against an opinion that differs from yours.
What?
See, if God created everything, he also created my opinion, and anything that differs from yours is what I'm saying. So how can you rebel against God if you are God witnessing it, or if you are witnessing God itself rebelling itself? Like
God is the source of all things. He doesn't necessarily create all things. He doesn't create sin.
Well, if God was a source of everything, he was a source of creation and everything. That doesn't make that's a paradoxical claim.
No.
He was a source of all possibility then.
He's a source of all possibility, but he created agents in the world so we can create things. So, like, humans created guns. God didn't create guns.
Well, it's kind of softening the blow. It's saying the same exact thing. God created humans to create guns. He created the ideal
No, it's
system
not the
that could.
same thing.
How is it different? If he is the source
Because
of
they're a
creation,
secondary. God's the first cause, and humans are secondary causes. So just because God's the first cause doesn't mean he causes everything. Humans cause things, and humans create things because we're made in God's image.
yeah, there's kind of a misunderstanding that I'm getting from you. If everything stems from one source, I don't really.
Yeah, you just stop. Just stop, dude. Okay, so the fallacy of Eve's guilt in later traditions. The author challenges the idea that Eve's role in the fall justifies female subjugation. So equal temptation. The serpent targets Eve first, but not because she is weak, because she is the perfect of creation, the linchpin of humanity's moral integrity. Her failure exposes the vulnerability of both humans. The shared redemption. If Adam's sin brought death, in Romans 5:12, Christ's redemption is equally for women, Galatians 3:28. The New Testament never blames Eve exclusively. Paul emphasizes Adam's role in the fall in Romans 5:12 through 19. So rejecting misogynistic logic. The claim that women are easier to seduce or less intelligent is cultural bias, not biblical theology. Jesus' interactions with women, like for example, Mary Magdalene and the Samaritan women, reject such stereotypes. So the Bible versus patriarchal distortions. The author argues that hostility towards women arises from later religious traditions, not the Bible itself. Jewish and Christian interpretation, post-biblical traditions like Rabbinic Judaism, medieval Christianity, often amplified patriarchal readings. For example, the Talmud labels women as light-minded, and medieval theologians like Thomas Aquinas called women defective men. The Bible itself resists these distortions. Jesus' genealogy includes Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, and Bathsheba. Matthew 1 through 17. Women who defied cultural norms. Lydia, Acts 16, 14 through 15. Priscilla, Acts 18, 26. And Junia, Romans 16, 7, lead early churches. That's a good one. I'm have to like sort these all these notes out. The Bible's positive message for women is evident when we, one, read the text in context, separating ancient cultural practices from theological principles, and two, amplify women's voices in Scripture rather than sidelining them, and three, reject patriarchal interpretations that project later biases on the text. So the Bible's hostility to women is a deviation, not its essence. The Bible's hostility to women is a deviation, not its essence. Its core message affirms women's dignity, agency, and equality, principles later societies often betrayed. The task is to reclaim these truths and from distorted traditions. Equality in creation. The first creation account in Genesis 1 through 26, or 1, 26 through 28, establishes a foundational truth. No hierarchy. God created humankind in his image. Male and female, he created them. Here, both sexes equally bear God's image, with no mention of hierarchy, subordination, or distinct roles. They are commissioned together to steward creation. Unity and diversity. The text emphasizes that humanity is one being expressed in two sexes. The fall's introduction of division is a corruption of this original unity, not a divine mandate. Paul's reaffirmation. Paul echoes this in 1 Corinthians 11 through 12. And in the Lord, woman is not independent of man, nor is man independent of woman. For as a woman came from man, so also man is born of woman. This mutual dependence reflects Genesis 1's equality. This undermines the idea that women are secondary or derivative. Instead, they are co-equal partners in reflecting God's nature. So 1 Corinthians 11:7, woman is the glory of man. The author interprets Paul's controversial statement by focusing on the term glory. Glory as revelation. Drawing on Karl Barth's theology, glory signifies revelation, just as Christ glorifies God by revealing his love in John 17:4. The woman reveals man by reflecting his true humanity. So there's a mutual revelation. The woman is not subordinate, but the revelatory counterpart to the man. She illuminates his strengths and flaws, as seen in the fall, where Eve exposes Adam's moral weakness. Conversely, the man is called to glorify God, creating a chain. God to man, man to woman, woman to God. Hierarchy versus independence. So the passage isn't about when we say the woman is the glory of the man. That passage is not about domination, but mutual dependence. Paul clarifies this in 1 Corinthians 11, 1 through 11, 1 Corinthians 11, verses 11 through 12, rejecting one-sided authority. So glory is a call to reciprocal responsibility, not subjugation. The woman's role is not passive, but active in shaping humanity's witness to God. The fall, there is a shared responsibility and a redemptive hope. So both Adam and Eve disobey God in Genesis 3:6, yet patriarchal traditions scapegoat Eve despite Adam's silent compliance. God's judgment on Adam lacks the redemptive promise given to Eve in Genesis 3:15 through 19. While Eve is told her offspring will crush the serpent, a messianic hope, Adam receives only curses. Eve's got an important redemptive role. The proto-evangelium first gospel in Genesis 3:15 centers on Eve's lineage defeating evil, elevating her as a vessel of salvation. So the narrative of female guilt, positioning. It's not about female guilt. It's a narrative of Eve as a symbol of hope rather than shame. We are not to shame Eve. Is not. It's not about shaming Eve because she ate the fruit. Eve is our hope because she will bear Jesus, the Messiah. So there are problematic texts in the Old Testament, like Numbers 30 seems to restrict women. However, in cultural context, these laws reflect ancient Near Eastern norms, not timeless theology. For example, the same Torah grants women inheritance rights in Numbers 27, 1 through 11, and condemns grape, Deuteronomy 22, verse 25 through 27. So there's a progressive trajectory. The Bible's arc moves towards liberation. Jesus and Paul subvert patriarchal norms in Luke 10, 38 through 42, Galatians 3, 28, by aligning with Genesis 1's vision. So let's look at Luke here. Let's see what it says. Luke 10, 38 through 42. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "Martha, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." I'm not sure what cult, I don't know what. See, this is why I wish I was a Bible scholar, because I could understand what he just means. But so how is that subverting? Maybe I can ask another AI to help. How does this verse subvert patriarchal norms of that time? Subtly subverts patriarchal norms of Jesus' time in several ways. Mary takes the position of a disciple, which was typically reserved for men. Jesus prioritizes learning over traditional gender rules, and it challenges the idea that that a woman's value is in domestic work alone. Oh, because Martha's like, "Come help me with the domestic work," and Jesus is like, "Nah, she good, homie." Jesus treats women as individuals with their own spiritual agency. So this passage subtly challenges and redefines gender roles in Jesus' time by affirming that women, like men, are called to be disciples, to learn and to prioritize their relationship with God over societal expectations. See, women, women listening to me, see, the Bible's a good thing for you. Without the Bible, men do crazy things. We need we need Jesus to check these men when they're out of control. Because it, welcome.
Oh, you did accept me up.
Yeah,
Hey, how's it going?
doing good. I just saw you now, so I saw you earlier, but then it disappeared, so I don't know if that's a glitch or what.
I was driving. I'm not driving now.
Yeah.
I like the interpretations that you're using for the scripture. I think that it would be a valuable approach for Christianity today to adopt. Do you think that Christianity today does adopt that view?
Um, I'm kind of disconnected from it, so I'm not. I don't know. In the book, he says that people got patriarchal in like the 18th and 19th centuries. So I think there's been feminist movements since then. So I think we've moved away from that type of thinking. I think today, I guess some Christians, people who are, I guess, traditionalists, want to go back to that type of thing. I don't know. But I don't think the Bible teaches like women have all the same roles as men in the church. So
I think that the Bible can be used to teach that, and it can be used to teach otherwise, and it has been used both ways, even
yeah,
today.
but only one way is correct, and so sure people can incorrectly misinterpret the Bible and abuse it. I wouldn't dispute that, but I don't see how they can correctly interpret it to be misogynistic. I think they have to they have to take things out of context to do that.
Okay, I disagree. I think there's lots within context that is very misogynistic. I think that Jesus, however, did in the scriptures go against cultural norms in the way he elevated women. And I think that's something that is worthwhile for Christianity to pay attention to.
Well, that's what you got to pay attention to because remember, the Bible is the Word of God, and when you interpret the Bible, you can't separate it from the person giving the word, who is Jesus. So when you make these wild interpretations like you guys do, I don't know like anything specific of you, but I know like when I'm listening to like deconstruction Christians talking, I'm saying that group, they separate the context. The greatest context is Jesus, and when you separate that from what's being said, then you put your personal opinion in there, and if you don't like Christianity, then you're going to interpret a lot of things that like you're going to
I
interpret
loved
negative.
Christianity.
A lot of. But that's what I see. That's what I see happening. People just putting their opinion in the text, and I'm making an effort to like think of the context.
Sorry?
I'm making a serious effort to like research the context and understand what these texts mean, and I don't feel like the deconstruction Christians are like lazy as hell. They don't do. They just, oh, this sounds bad. Okay, well then it is bad. No
I
context needed.
understand you're frustrated with a large group of people. Can we have a conversation one-on-one though? Can you not make claims that let me into that?
Uh-huh.
Thank you. I got a biblical studies degree. I went to university for 4 years. I've looked at the texts. I've studied the texts. I've done it with humility. You may not think that I have. But if there is a God, it's only for God to judge.
Mm-hmm. But there's not there's traditions of misogynistic church leaders like misinterpreting the text.
I agree. Although I'm not so sure what you mean by misinterpreting. I've heard someone say once, and I thought there was wisdom in this statement, that the Bible is only as good as the person preaching it. Because preachers throughout history, like you just said, church fathers, will take scriptures and will use them to perpetuate evil in the world.
Yeah, I think women represent the best elements of Christianity, like grace, mercy, hope, a concern for living creatures, nonviolence, a concern for like the little things in life, where men tend to focus on the big picture all the time. So I think women are like, and what happened was the church became an institution and it acquired land and power, and it became more interest in like conquest and power than in Jesus. And so women, like agape love, which is like feminine, unconditional love, I think is like a feminine type of love, was replaced for eros, and eros is like more of a masculine, dominating conquest type of a love, and so that's why they interpreted these passages to suppress women, but it was never meant to be that way. Jesus never treated women as like any second class status. And Paul in the early church, he talked about how women were in roles in leadership. You can read that in Acts.
I'm not convinced that Jesus didn't still treat women as second class citizens. I'm willing to explore that with you. I agree that Jesus interacted with women in ways that were countercultural to the misogyny of the day. But I don't know if Jesus went so far as to not still have second class citizens. Would you like to talk about that?
Well, I'm trying to research it.
Well, the initial question that comes to my mind that might be worth researching then is, why were all the 12 disciples all male? Because the Gospels do talk about how there were other disciples, but in terms of the inner circle, there were the three, and then those three were also part of the 12. And there were no women within that inner circle at all.
Well, I would just counter that women were the first to witness the resurrection, and then they taught the resurrection to the disciples, and I would argue that that is a higher status or a more important theological role than being a disciple.
That's interesting. I wonder why none of the Gospels are named after any of the women who were first witnessing that.
I don't know.
Yeah. I've often wondered why God chose to come incarnate on earth as a man instead of as a woman, with all of the masculine imagery and analogies in the scriptures around God the Father. I've thought that would probably have helped with some of the misogyny. But I'm not God. I don't know why Jesus came as a man.
I don't think it would help.
You don't think it would have?
No.
Why not?
Because it's a problem of power and corruption and sin. It's God being a woman, Jesus being a woman isn't going to fix sin.
Maybe it would have been different sins, though, and not the subjugation of half of the population of the world.
Well, that only happened in like the 18th and 19th century. Like, there's women had equal rights, like in the time period between like Jesus and
I don't think you can make that claim. I've agreed with you that Jesus elevated the status of women, but I don't think that we can say that women were elevated to the same status as men. When you look at the culture of the day.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, it is true. I'm going to read from this is a historical book. Okay.
Sure.
It is true that there have been periods when patriarchal form of society has been dominant. For example, in Judaism in the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC, and in Rome in the same period. But it is absurd to describe all traditional societies as patriarchal. As always, there have been variations. It can be shown that Roman society in the 1st century AD was no longer patriarchal in the strict sense. Women had equal rights with men, except for voting in elections. They were not kept at home to raise the children. Similarly, in the Seleucid Empire, in the 1st century BC and later, women were fully free. It has been shown by Voltaire that they were at work in all the higher professions as bankers, ship owners, business people, and entrepreneurs of all descriptions, and that they freely handled large sums of money. In the Germanic tribes that invaded Europe, women again had a fairly privileged status who even took part in battles and Tacitus and had equal rights with men.
That's really cool.
A lot of people don't know that. They just assume that everything was patriarchy, but it wasn't.
No, there's certainly, well, and there's even matriarchal societies throughout history, right? Like, it's not that it's all been patriarchy. I wouldn't make that claim. And it's great. It's great to educate people on where there has been a recognition of the humanity of both sexes.
You said after the collapse of the empire, though, there was like this threat of violence, and that gave men absolute preeminence and favored the return to patriarchy.
I'm sorry, I said that? I didn't say that.
No, from my book. He's saying from the 12th century, there were new movements toward legal and economic equality between men and women. Until the 18th century, society is not patriarchal, but the situation varies according to time and place. One cannot generalize. Latter 18th and 19th centuries see astonishing regression in the status of women in every field. Common mistake of non-historians is to think that because this was a position in the 19th century, it must have been worse in the 16th and worse again in the 13th century. They have a naive belief in constant progress. In general, however, the basis of a patriarchal society is not a valid one.
Can we talk about one of the questions I have is why would, and see, yeah. Why would a good, powerful God give laws to the Israelites that didn't elevate women to the same status as men in the Pentateuch, in the Torah?
See, yeah, I haven't researched that, so I can't answer that.
Okay.
But I suspect that they don't. Like I can't imagine.
You can't imagine what?
Well, I don't know. Unless are these like it says that there's patriarchal in the 3rd and 2nd century, so maybe it's like traditions of men or something, not from the Bible. Because God wouldn't command anything like that.
Well, I don't think that a good God would. I don't, and that's one of the struggles that I've had is how.
You're separating who's the laws from the lawgiver. That's the context that you're missing. You gotta imagine that everything you're reading is coming from Jesus.
Boy, then I would have a really okay. Deep breaths. Give me a second. If it was Jesus who told me, some of the inflammatory stuff, right? I think it's like Deuteronomy 20 or Deuteronomy 22. Like, okay, men, if you go and you G-side the community and there's a beautiful woman, you can take her and she will be your wife.
Yeah. So you think that's bad?
If Jesus told me that, I would be absolutely appalled.
So this is an example of your perverted thinking, okay? So
that's quite inflammatory about.
Yeah, let me explain this to you, but this is so stupid what you're saying.
I don't like being told that I'm thinking in stupid ways. I'm having
that's the reality. Just think about this. In war, you know what happens? Grape, right?
I know, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's
even today, like in Vietnam, Americans raped Vietnamese women because that's just like there's something messed up inside humans. We're broken. It's almost like we're in a fallen state, you might say. Humans are messed up. So when men go to war, guess what? They grape. That sucks, right? No one thinks that's good, but it is a reality, okay? And guess what? Back then, it was a reality. There were wars in that time. And guess what? I'm sure just like today, grape happened during war. Back then, grape happened during war. So the law you're pointing at is actually to protect women in war from grape. It's a law of compassion and empathy and love. It's saying, look, you're not allowed to have any relations with this woman, but if you really want her, you take her home for a month and you live with her for a month. And then if you still want to marry her, then you can get married. But the idea is that after like living with this woman for a month, because it's like that war grape crap will have like dissipated. So they've gone back to kind of like more normal, and then they won't want to marry the woman. So the whole idea of the law is to protect women from grape. So it's a compassionate, like loving law. And if the man chooses not to marry them, then they can go just be free in society, just like a regular citizen. So I don't you see because your perverted thinking when you read that you're detaching the law from Jesus and you're thinking it's like bad and you're not putting it in context.
I honestly believed what you're saying right now for decades, because this was a passage that bothered me when I was a kid and I read it. Like, and I asked the learned biblical scholars in my life, and the answer that you gave is the answer that I was given. I have since come to the place where it feels very gaslighty to me.
I don't want to talk to you.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Just a quick question. If God is real and he wants us to follow certain laws that he...
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. Sorry, that was an accident.
If God is real and he wants us to follow certain laws that he's laid out, why would he not just innately imbue us with the knowledge that he's real from the moment of birth?
Well, God wants us to like freely choose him. So he provides enough evidence and you can accept it or reject it. But he doesn't want to like force you.
Except the Bible itself says that everyone knows there is a God. So what I said, the Bible actually agrees with.
What?
Yeah, the Bible literally says that every single person knows that the biblical God is the true God.
Yeah, because it's obvious. Yeah.
It's not though. I don't know there's a God. I don't.
Sure you do. You're talking, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't get me anywhere near to a personal God.
Of course it does. You talking to me would be only possible if there's uniformity of nature.
There is uniformity of nature.
Only Christianity can explain the uniformity of nature. Therefore,
no. Spinoza can explain the uniformity of nature.
No, it can't.
Your God to me is just I would say to me God is nature. There is uniformity without your particular God.
Yeah, but what's your evidence for that?
Well, there is lack of evidence of your particular God being real. There is blatant evidence of there being laws of the universe and things that follows things.
What's the proof of the uniformity of nature?
Laws of nature, like gravity, fundamental forces, all these things.
That's begging the question. I want the proof of the uniformity of nature. There is none.
Yeah, yes, there is. Do you not know what gravity is?
You're lying.
That's an example right then and there.
You're lying. Why are you lying?
I wouldn't say I am. Do you not know what the 4 fundamental laws of physics are?
Maybe.
Okay. Those exist. I will agree with you that those exist. How do I get to a personal God from them?
Because for those to exist, we have to expect the future to resemble the past. So why should we expect the future to resemble the past?
I don't follow.
Why should we trust that the laws of physics will remain constant?
Oh, okay. That's what you mean. Because there's absolutely no reason to think they're going to change.
Okay, yeah. That's begging the question.
That's like asking, do you think you're going to wake up tomorrow with a female with like female genes and become a lady. No, there's no evidence for this. There's no reason to think that the laws of the universe will change tomorrow when I wake up. None.
So exactly. So what you just did was beg the question, right? So as a Christian, I don't have to beg the question because I have a sovereign, like creator God who ensures, ordains that there will be like regularity and irregularity in the world. So I have epistemic justification to believe in the future will resemble the past. You do not. So when you talk, you're basically borrowing from my worldview. So you already act like Christianity is true whether you admit it or not. So I suggest
That's some ridiculous logic. Would you accept a Muslim telling you that, saying word for word what you just said, but not pointing it towards your particular God, but Allah?
no, but I would have a counter.
Okay, there you go. You wouldn't. So I'm not going to do it for yours.
So you don't have a counter argument?
Well, no, I'm not going to extend your point a special privilege because that is your particular belief, not mine. Oh, you want to ask him?
I got a great question.
Here, we have another question for you.
Oh.
So you say that the laws are constant, they're not going to change. Do you think this planet's always going to be inhabitable?
I don't know. I mean,
If
eventually won't
you had to answer the question, do you think
Well,
so?
I mean, I guess no, because like God's gonna destroy the earth, right?
I mean, I'd say the Earth is going to burn to a crisp when the sun swells, but that's not God.
And then God,
That's indifferent laws of the universe. It's not a conscience.
well, a law of the universe would be an indirect proof of God because you couldn't have a law without God.
I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can, but bullshit.
How is it bullshit?
Why does it need to tie back to a God and your definition of a God that is not only conscious but has an interest in human affairs?
Because a law is universal, unchanging, and immaterial. So you need a universal, unchanging, immaterial like thing to explain it.
Thing. Now, the thing you're describing, would it be a consciousness, or could it just be described as like, I don't know, something that's like a what? Like it's not a person and it's not conscious.
Well, then how would you
just
know
is.
have any epistemic access to it? Then
Say that again.
Doesn't have a mind, you wouldn't be able to know it. So it has to have a mind to reveal itself to us, or else you couldn't even talk about it.
Why do I need to necessarily know it like in depth? Like
Because
the laws of the
we're in a-
universe, they
you know
just
that-
are.
we're in a
We know them
debate.
well enough.
We're in a debate, so like you have to like be able to justify the things you talk about. Did you know that?
Well, the only one that's making an unfounded jump here is you. An unfounded jump to
I
a
made an
conscious
argument.
God.
You're just whining and complaining. I made an argument.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You've asserted your beliefs as truth without evidence, and assertions without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. You're just stating your beliefs and asserting them as universal
No, I made
facts.
an
You're doing
argument.
nothing more.
No, I made an argument.
No, you didn't. Your whole argument, if I got it correct, was all the laws in the universe must be based on a God, and the God you define is one that's a conscious God and has interest in human affairs, and I'm guessing is also benevolent. Yeah. Well, don't forget, he literally said you can't reason without his God in particular. That's what you said before, right? Did I have it right?
Something like that. That God's necessary to do science. If you deny God, then science would be impossible. Science is not impossible, therefore God exists.
Okay, now how do you define God?
A necessary mind that created the universe.
So it's conscious.
Yeah.
That's the disconnect. I wouldn't define it as conscious. I wouldn't even define it as a being. You could call it the laws of nature. No need for the word God. It has so much extra baggage.
Yeah, but if it doesn't have a mind, if there's no revelation, then you don't know it. You can't know it. You can't logic your way to God, and you can't science it.
Well, I mean, I know a little bit about the universe, and that's without the need of your God. So I'd say we can know it.
You don't
I
have
think
access-
you're just
You don't have access to reality.
really.
Sure, you have access to your perceptions of phenomena, but you don't have access to reality.
Really? Are you sure about that?
Yeah, that's why we need God to reveal himself to know reality, or else we don't know reality.
He hasn't, though.
Well, then you don't know reality, and that's a self-defeating position.
No, I do.
Come on,
There's I step out my front door.
Yeah, they just ignore what I say. That's all they do. I'm getting really hungry, so I'm just gonna leave. Bye.